My daughter would never date somebody like you. You know, there's a truth in results. If somebody is capable to achieve something, then the results speak for itself. I can solve every fucking problem, because if there is an issue, then I can pay whatever amount to, and somebody will solve it for me like this from day one, because I started training when I was 14. Yeah. But when I was 16, life started changing, and that's an important thing people have to understand. But you are a pretty boy, you can work as a waiter. And I didn't get any support. It's not you who decides when you get paid back, it's life. Yeah. You can only trust life that it will be very good to you.
Some people talk about hitting rock bottom. My guest today actually slept on the floor of a gym and collected unemployment money. And a couple years later, he turned the whole thing around by buying the very welfare office that doubted him before and made it into his company headquarters. Welcome to today's discussion, Chris.
Thanks for having me. And I have to tell you, in English, the story sounds even better. So it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that. So to our listeners who do not know you yet, please tell them in a couple of sentences who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Type my name in Claude or ChatGPT, then they'll know. But I like to do business, and most of the time I'm in beauty, in the beauty industry. I founded quite some companies with a lot of outlets, like with my last business, Lie Down Lose Weight. It's far more, over 1,000 outlets. So that's what I do. And the other thing is I'm big in AI, bringing out my book very soon. So this is the two main things I'm focusing on right now.
Wonderful. If you would have to choose one of these many facets of your life, which one is the one that brings you most joy currently?
You know, the AI topic is totally new. It's exciting. It's a lot of opportunity, a lot of unknown stuff. And I enjoyed it. It's like a new relationship. I mean, that's a long time ago that I made that experience, but I can remember. So everything that's new is always very exciting, but also the main business. We're doing it now in the 9th year. We had our 8-year celebration on this weekend. And that brings a lot of joy too. I mean, it's beautiful to watch people succeed. That's how I make my money, helping other people. Getting out of the 9-to-5 job and getting to earn more money than they used to. I don't want to decide, and I don't have to decide. So I like to have many opportunities and many sources of income. But if you would ask me, for example, do I like to be in real estate or would I focus on AI, then I would say fuck real estate right now.
Yeah, I guess I would choose the same. It's pretty hot topic. Yeah. So I can see that entrepreneurship is like in your veins, right? Was that always the case, or how did you grow up?
Yeah, I mean, was it always in my veins? I'm sure it was in my DNA, and but of course you develop. You know, it's not like you start with 18 and you are in the position to handle many businesses, many companies. You have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to fail many times, and failing is a big part of success if you keep going. But I mean, I was different. I was different for sure than all my other colleagues from school. I like to learn to sell, and I was always very outgoing and very energetic. The teachers didn't like that so much, but you know, I understood in a very early age that the school system in Austria is a very bad topic. And I mean, I had this teacher in marketing when I was 14, and he was very respected in the school, and everybody was afraid of him, and he was like the genius of the school. And he was like very confident in the way he was teaching us how marketing works. And he wore the same suit every day. And he had a really old car. Like back in the days, the car was very old, and he still has this same shitty car. And everybody was afraid of him. And for me, he was just a stupid fucking idiot, because how can you talk so overly confident about something where you have absolutely no idea? I mean, he could read very good out of the book for sure, but he had no idea about selling, about marketing. And I showed him that I didn't care. So, of course, I didn't have the best grades, but at the same time, I knew I had to find another way, and I had to solve this topic. And I also knew the solution looked totally different than what he said.
And I can see that already back then you had it out for the authority figures, right? What would you say was different in your mindset that you could distinguish from somebody standing in front of the students and talking something out of the book to somebody who has actually an idea of what he's talking about?
I understand that you think I have something against authorities, but it's absolutely not the case. It's just like if somebody talks about earning money and he's not rich, then he doesn't have the track record that I want to listen. And if somebody would ask me for some advice, then I would say, be very careful who you ask for advice and who you trust. So, I mean, if there's, there's this body positivity and all that sort of stuff going on, I'm not so much for that, especially when a personal trainer has got 50 kilos overweight or is 50 kilos overweight, I wouldn't listen to him. I mean, it's possible that he knows it in theory, but I think the better role model is somebody who is incredibly in shape, who is very disciplined, who trains hard, because that's easier to copy. So this is the only thing that I'm saying, and I understood that in a very early age, and I was also willing to pay the price. So, okay, give me the bad grade, I don't care, but I will not drive the shitty car and I will not wear the same suit every day because it works different.
I totally agree with you, especially about these topics that slowly found their way in our society, like body positivity and a couple other ones as well, where you have to see behind the facade and question if that really is what you want to have in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a truth in results. If somebody is capable to achieve something, then the results speak for itself. And I live by that.
Absolutely. So back then when you were in school, how did you see yourself, or how did your self-image look like?
Yeah, if people ask me how was the time in school, then it wasn't a fun time, because every teacher was always telling me, you will always be a failure. You will never succeed. You will never achieve anything. You have to do what we are telling you, then you will become something. And I knew it's not true. It's not true. I just knew it. If you ask me where does that come from, I don't know. But I knew it, that they weren't right. But of course, I'm very sensitive. I feel a lot of things also between the lines. That's my power, especially in selling. And I had that also as a kid. You don't like it when somebody constantly tells you are a failure. And you also have to be realistic. I mean, if you are 10, 12, 14 years, you cannot tell everybody you're going to slap them or punch them. Although I was strong, but you just cannot do that. Because I knew aggression isn't the solution. So I had to just follow through, keep going, and embrace the pain, kind of. And because I knew my time will come, and that's what happened. So a tipping point was when I became 15, 16 years old. Then things began to change, and everybody saw that they should be aware of what I'm doing.
Before that time, was there ever an incident where these claims that you will never amount to anything by your teachers got to you, or changed how you saw yourself?
No, it didn't change me at all. It just hurt me, and there were maybe times when it hurt me more and times when it didn't get me so much. But the situation that changed a lot was, I changed the school then, but not because I had to, just what's natural in Austria. When you are 14, you have to decide in which direction do you go, more technical or more business or more for university later. And I took the economy path. And the math teacher said in one of the first lessons, the only chance of me having some money, enough money to feed my family, would be if I go to Norway and work on the airports. You know why?
Why?
Because Norway is very cold, and the how do you call it, of the airplane, the wings of the airplane, they freeze, and they need one stupid guy who puts down the ice. So this was the job she was seeing me in. And then she said something I'm sure she regretted, and she then said in a sentence, and my daughter would never date somebody like you. And
there was another goal.
And it took me 10 minutes on Saturday. And that changed a lot. Also in the relationship with the math teacher. I mean, but it also changed a lot in my confidence, because I was just started to look for, different ways to reach the goal. Because I was 14 or maybe 15, I don't know, it doesn't matter right now. So I didn't have to earn money. This isn't in the mind so much if you don't suffer, and I didn't suffer because I was born in Austria. I'm very privileged. I'm very lucky. At that time, my dad was in a good situation, not a very good situation, but in a good situation. So then you don't think about money so much. Like, it's different if you are born and raised in Brazil or in the Philippines. Then you always have too less money. It's not like that in Austria. So this was my way of telling you, fuck you. I do whatever I want and I will be a success for sure.
I find it very admirable that already back then you had such a strong confidence in how you see yourself, that even teachers and other people telling you that you have to go to Norway to amount to anything, that you just stick to yourself.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I stick to myself, but because if you just look at it from a meta perspective, if you look at it from the outside, it's totally insane to say something to a young boy. Why would you do that? I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't do anything. I was just sitting in class. I was not class clown. I was just really a regular kid, I understand it if somebody does many stupid things, but I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Of course, I was not the one sitting in the first row and doing nothing, but I wasn't class clown or doing a bully. I didn't do all that stuff. So why would you say something to a regular boy who is just very bad in maths at that time? Yeah. But if you would have a look at it now, who's better in maths, her or me? I can solve every fucking problem, because if there is an issue, then I can pay whatever amount and somebody will solve it for me like this. And she would sit with her paper or maybe with her calculator. That's the difference, Yeah. So things change, and success in business gives you opportunities.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge topic that is mostly overlooked when you see the Austrian school system, or in general the school system of the Western world, right? That pupils are not trained to be self-sufficient or entrepreneurs. They are trained to be basically workers and slaves, and that's what was done back there. And the teachers they just do what they know, right?
They do what they know. They do what they thought, what they taught from other ones, and But you're totally right. But let's not go down that pathway, because I'm not going to change the schooling system. We can only adapt to it and make the best of it.
Yeah, and it's a whole different topic. So then you said with 16, everything changed.
Yeah.
In what way?
In that way that when I was, I always had this idea of becoming a football player, professional. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I didn't pay the price. So I went out and I didn't attend to every training, and so I didn't pay the price. So if I look back now, it's not a coincidence that I didn't turn pro. But I also took a decision when I was 14 that I was focusing more on training. So my parents had gyms, and I was born and raised in a fitness center. Mm-hmm. In one big one of these 8 clubs my dad had at that time. And I started training with 14. And I just loved it. I like to talk to the other guys, to the grown-ups, and see how they got bigger. And I like to see the girls do aerobics. Like Zumba or Pilates would be the thing they're doing today. And I started training. And when I was 16, my body started to train. So that's not a surprise, but for me it was a surprise because people started to react different to me. So I was 16 then at that time, and I got my first modeling contract. And if I would talk about the money now, it would be like embarrassing, but it changed a lot for me because like for 1 hour on the catwalk, that was pure fun and pleasure for me because I was standing in the middle, everybody was not laughing, looking and clapping. I got so much money like all the other students got in the month. Mm. And then that started to change a lot of things, and my confidence just got bigger. And I knew, okay, I found something already. Mm-hmm. Because I could have lived off that money because it was like 2 to 3K a month that I made with modeling when I was 15, 16. So, of course, that made it more difficult for my teachers because I made more than them just by looking good. And I'm not even a supermodel. You can't compare it to the influencers today. But at that time, it was quite a good thing. And especially, I didn't even know something like that existed. But I was in the lucky position. I was 190. I had 90 kilos. I just loved to train. And yeah, that was a big advantage.
And back then, did you see yourself going down that path of being a model?
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It was just an opportunity to do. So I knew that was just a phase, and I love to do it. But after 1.5 years, the next stage of my life came. But I didn't do it for the money. Everything I ever did, started with 14, 15. I always only did it for fun because I like to succeed, because I like to reach several goals. Then the next thing came.
Yeah, I think that's something beautiful, right? When you find the thing that where your heart and your mind pulls in the same direction, then it flows. You easily get into a flow state and it just works.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you just think about the modeling, I mean, I would have paid for it. I would have paid for it to be able to do it. I mean, it's heaven for a guy. You're standing in the middle, everybody sees how you look, the girls see how you look. It's super easy to get connected with people. So yeah, I would have paid for it. And I'm not the only one, I'm just the only one who is telling you. I would have paid for it, but I got paid, and that was beautiful. And it's the same thing with many things I did after that. I never did it because of the money. It was always just about, succeeding and having fun.
Is this also where you learned discipline?
Yeah, I learned the discipline in the gym. I learned it from my dad because he's very disciplined. And he didn't tell me, he just lived by it, and I watched him, and that's how I developed it. So I got the discipline 100% from my dad.
Yeah, that's beautiful because discipline, it helps you in every situation in life, right?
I'm sure you got your discipline from your dad too.
I'm not entirely sure about that. My dad was always very caring, but I didn't get discipline from him. Discipline, really? Okay. I actually had to learn very, very late in life.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. So you also didn't learn it from your mom. So you had to teach it to yourself.
I had to teach it to myself, and it started when I became 30 because I realized that what I was doing back then is not fulfilling me. It's not the life that I want to live. So I started to figure out piece by piece who I want to become and who I want to be. And one part of this was that I want to be fit, that I want to be healthy. And I thought, okay, what do I need to do to be fit and healthy? So, okay, I have to go to the gym and I have to take good care of what I put into my body in terms of nutrition, right? And then I started to work out, which was very hard as a 30-year-old man.
Of course, if you start from scratch.
For the first, I was a couple of times in the gym before, but I don't count it because it was not regular and it was not amounting to anything. But then starting as a 30-year-old man to be disciplined and go to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that is where I learned discipline. Yeah,
great. I'm happy you have it now.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, that was a shortcut for me that I started training so early. So I had advantages, and it started to pay out, but it didn't pay out from day one because I started training when I was 14.
Yeah.
But when I was 16, life started changing, and that's an important thing people have to understand. You don't get paid back immediately. And that's what I try to tell everybody. You need tenacity. You need to keep going when you don't see light at the end of the tunnel. You have to just trust that it will come, because you don't have another opportunity. But it will come.
Yeah.
And for some people, the light comes earlier, and it came really early to me, because I earned this amount of money when I was 16, and it became more and more all the time. But it was I just kept going. I kept training. I started reading when I was 14. I read the book everybody reads as a first book when you start to work on your mindset. But I stick to it. And now it's 1,500 books I read. So yeah, you have to just keep going, and then the price will come. You will get paid back, but it's not you who decides when you get paid back, it's life.
Yeah.
You can only trust life that it will be very good to you. And like I said, I'm very privileged. I was born and raised in Austria. I'm living in Vienna now, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Besides that, I'm very often in Dubai. Not everybody can do that. If the same boy with the same energy, with the same ambitions is born in Kenya or Nigeria, or in the favelas in Brazil, the chances of him dealing with drugs, being with hookers, or being in jail is 50%. But I didn't have all these problems. I wasn't in danger to become anything criminal like this, because I was in a safe environment. So I'm blessed, but at the same time, I'm always keep going.
So when you say that you have to trust in your abilities, but also in life giving you the rewards, what kind of role does faith play in your life?
I don't know if it's faith, but I just trust in God, and I'm always sure everything will turn out good. Also, when life hits me really hard, and now I'm in a good period again, I'm happy about that. But if you would ask me how I felt 1.5 years ago, I was really suffering, and it was really hard times. I had to pay 6 million in taxes that I didn't really have, because the economic situation changed. But I figured it out. I was capable to do it because I'm a tough guy and because I never give up. But also in that moments when it's really tough and when you don't have solutions for weeks or even months, you can just trust and keep going. And, it's not empty words that I'm saying here, because people who aren't successful or who are in a regular job, if they hear something like that, they think, he can speak easily because he's got the money and he's got the cars and the watches and whatever. But it's earned. My dad didn't give me anything. He invested with me in my first business. He put in 80 grand. He had 50% of the share. I had 50% of the share. I turned it into a business that did 25 million a year. He got his fair share of that. You understand? So, yeah, I just trust that everything turns out good.
Absolutely. I think that trust is something very important, because if you trust yourself and if you look forward to these rewards that life will eventually give you, and you keep going, you keep your discipline, then you actually can do the steps to get there.
Exactly.
So you said
but that faith is not my favorite word. So
okay, why? Why is that?
I don't know, because it's I don't really understand it. Is it Schicksal in German? What would faith be?
No, it's Glauben.
Glauben. Okay, then it is my word actually. Okay. But then I answered it great.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going for.
Very good.
Yeah. So even in situations where life seems to not work out as you want it to have, if you trust and
can I tell you a funny story?
Sure.
So because it really fits into here. So we had this event on the weekend with all my partners. So 8 years, lie down, lose weight, the celebration in Vienna. And what I like to do is I like to let the best partner speak. Of course, I do some speaking, members of the team, but I also like to invite speakers, so professionals in some areas. So we had, for example, one double Olympic champion, Benjamin Karl. He was our guest. He's the oldest Olympic champion in winter games. Amazing guy, love him. And I had a longevity expert there. And he did a speech. And right before he went on stage, I said, you have to make money to be generous. Because sometimes I just pay for the shopping of the old lady in front of me. And sometimes I pay for dinner from the people sitting next to me. And sometimes I give people even more, but I don't even talk about it because that's just who I am. And the guy was not in the room. Then he comes on stage. And then he tells the story how he heard my name the first time. And his mom was calling him. And she said, Richard, you will never believe what happened to me. I went shopping and some guy just paid for my shopping. And he said, why did he do that? And she said, I don't know. But he was so nice and he paid my shopping. And then I said, I want to give him your book. And I said, he said, no, he can buy it. Just have a beautiful day. And then the guy said, who was the speaker, what was his name? And she said, Chris Steiner. And that's why he came there and did the speech for free. And I mean, how big are the chances? Because of course she's 75. You think I'm searching for his mom? It's just who I am. I pay for the shopping of other people when I've got the feeling that it's the right situation. So I think
it fits perfectly, and I think life works sometimes in funny ways. How it gives us this payment, this rewards, right?
Exactly.
Because it doesn't always have to be money or riches. Sometimes it can be connections. It can be the woman that you meet that lives by your side, that supports you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or in this case, I supported her, but I didn't plan that. Yeah. I went into the shop. I thought, she could have a nice day if I pay her shopping, because it doesn't hurt me. And even if it would hurt me, I would still do it if she has a smile. And I mean, in that case, it was just like, then you see, okay, you get rewarded because everybody in the room that was like, holy shit, it's really true. It's not just stories or talking big like the teachers who have no results. He's living that way. So the trust went directly in a totally new era.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to your origin story. So after you became a model, what happened next? What was your first business venture?
Yeah, between modeling and between my first business adventure, there were quite some adventures too. So I made a lot of money in nightclubs, working in nightclubs as a waiter and in different things, because I just had, the energy and I like doing that. So that was really a fun time and a a time with a lot of action. I mean, I would have many clicks if I would stream that today, but it was a different time. But then I went to the military for 6 months, and it was a huge waste of time. Holy shit. Especially if you get great goals, I believe the military in Austria is a good thing. But for me, it was like really a waste of time, because I knew I'm so ambitious. I'm going to be self-employed. I want to go in attack mode. Yeah. And if you are were you at the military?
No, I luckily escaped that.
You escaped it.
I went to the civil service and worked my first entrepreneurship.
So you could work
next to it.
I understand. But you can't do that in the military.
Yeah.
So there's really no chance. Or at least I couldn't do it. It wasn't imaginable for me. Maybe some people can, but I really couldn't. And it was also different because you couldn't do all the work on the computer.
Yeah.
And I was like in fitness, so how should I do that? But then I did that, And on the day I finished military, I started to work as a Betriebsleiter, as a club manager in Bruck an der Mur. I took a club that was bankrupt twice in 2 years. So had a lot of options or a lot of ways to prove that I can do it and that I'm capable. And I mean, the club exploded. It was just amazing. Like I 10x the members, and we had to, do construction work that the club became bigger. Then I made a second one. But still, I was just a club manager. I did it for my uncle and my dad. And but I learned a lot. I did that for 2 years in 2 cities. And I really learned selling there. I learned how to lead people. We had 10 employees. And that was my first station. I didn't make so much money, but I still made a lot of money compared to other people in my age. But I knew I wanted to go into big cities and be self-employed. And then I hit rock bottom and slept in the... But I didn't rock bottom. I didn't fall down at all, but I slept in the garbage room of my first club for 6 weeks. Because I just, I wanted to save the money. And I wanted to see how does it work out. I mean, it just proves my character. Outside there was the big car. We had an Audi R8 at the time. But I slept in this small shitty room and on the IKEA bed for 40 euros because I had to prove me again. That's just who I am, Other people would immediately book the big penthouse or always the nice hotel rooms. But for me, it was prove yourself again. Show what you can do.
This situation that I was telling in the beginning where you bought the headquarters of, I think it was AMS, right? Was that another way to prove yourself that you can do it, or was there a different reason behind?
I mean, then I wanted to go into big cities, and I had a look in Klagenfurt, in Maribor, in Slovenia, in Villach, in Graz. But for me, it was like Frank Sinatra. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. But the city wasn't New York, it was Vienna. And so there was only the option Vienna. Because like in my mind, in my small city guy mind, nobody would give a fuck in my legacy if I have a gym in Klagenfurt, because it's also a village. But Vienna is big and you have to be the best in Vienna. So that's why I went to Vienna. I opened up a club right opposite to the Riesenrad. And I went to the AMS, to the job center, to ask for support. And I told the nice lady, I'm from Styria, I'm moving to Vienna, and I'd like to have some support. Which options are there? And she said, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to open up a women's fitness club. It's going to be the best in Vienna, and I'm going to make many, many more. And she took her glasses down and said, women's club in Vienna? There is one already. But you are a pretty boy, you can work in how do you call it? As a waiter, you can work as a waiter. And I didn't get any support. And then I went out, I didn't care. But, it would just be nice to have some support. Because like you always hear in the news, they get this money, And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a new self-employed. Which ways of support are there? And ever since, I never got any fucking support. I had 40 companies in my life, never got €1. I only paid. But that's how life is. And I want people to understand, that's why I'm bringing up this topic. You don't get support. Nobody will come and save you. There's only one person, and it's yourself.
That's such an important realization, that nobody is coming to save you, because it's, for me, it was that moment where I realized that I'm free.
Yeah,
because I can take things into my own hands.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to, but I also get to. I don't have to wait for somebody coming to save me, because nobody ever will come.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I should continue with the story. Anyway, it was a coincidence that I bought this building. So just to put it in perspective, it's 5,000 square feet. And we put our company headquarter in there. It's 10 apartments and 1 penthouse. And we are making a revenue of 25,000 a month with it. So it's also a very good cash cow. And yeah, I mean, now I'm the guy who bought the job center. But it wasn't because I have to prove her. It was really a coincidence, but it's a funny story.
It definitely is a funny story.
But it's not that I'm drinking some mineral water and my wife some champagne, and we are happy about this story. We don't care. Don't even think about it. But
so you said that you and your wife are not sitting around and reminiscing about these kind of stories. When did you meet your wife? When did she get into your life?
I was actually when I turned 30. That was a quite defining situation in my life because I was really partying a lot. So that was like a really crazy time because I had a lot of money due to my first project. So I didn't have to work anymore. I don't have to work now, but also at that time I didn't have to work because with 28, I would have said I'm financially free. But at the same time, the business I built for 5, 6, 7 years maybe wasn't the success it used to be. So, I had 130 own clubs all over Europe, in Turkey, in the Côte d'Azur, in France, in Italy, in Austria, in Germany. It was crazy. 550 people were working for me. We made a lot of money at that time. But then things changed. Power play training wasn't popular anymore. Like the trend changed, switched more to AMS and other fitness concepts. So then it decreased. The members decreased. The amount of clubs decreased. And it turned out I switched it to EMS, but I didn't have love for this concept. So then I just sold club for club, and I still made some money by selling the clubs. But it didn't make me happy. And for me, it's more important that I love what I do than making money, because making money comes with loving the thing I do. So then I started organizing beauty. How do you call it? Beauty pageants. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just did a lot of fun stuff. And there was this one girl that I always thought I have to get to know her. And it turned out to be the worst nightmare in my life. So like after the first night, she moved into my apartment. And from day one, she said, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. And that was like really, really, really shocking. Didn't enjoy that time. But after half a year, I managed to manipulate her in the situation that she finally moved out without killing herself. And lucky enough, the next day, I saw the Instagram profile of my now wife. And when I saw that profile, I said to a very close friend, if I meet her, I'm going to marry her. Mark my words. And very close after that, we met and we got engaged 5 weeks later. And it was the biggest luck, and it's just the only thing that matters in my life, because she's the most beautiful woman and she's the best mom. She's my best friend. And she's my biggest fan and supporter, and together we can build up everything. So she met me when I had money, of course, but I wasn't a success at that time, because I didn't really have a business. And in our first date, the idea for Abnehmen im Liegen was born. Mm-hmm. Really in our first date. And that's how things turned out. So
that's very wonderful. Would you say that retrospectively, it was actually kind of lucky that your first clubs, your businesses went away from you, so that you had time for something new?
It's nothing I'm thinking about. It's just how life is. I don't know how that works together. It is what it is. I'm not so philosophic. My wife likes to have thoughts like that. I don't.
Okay.
But it is what it is, and I'm happy I found a new idea. I'm happy I found a business that helps people earn a lot of money, and that gives me leverage to build something great. And that's what it is.
And what did you see in your wife when you first saw her on that Instagram page? Was it the beauty that caught your eye, or? Nah,
of course, as a dominant male, of course, the beauty attracts you. Of course, that's it. But it's not only for me; it's for everybody. That's why we put nice pictures on Instagram and not the ones where we look like shit. And especially the women don't do that. But it wasn't only the beauty; it was the shining in her eyes and the smiling and the style and just how she presented herself. Like really caught my attention. I mean, I was used to beautiful women surrounding me and being in contact with them, but like I immediately knew she's going to be the mom of our kids, and it was also totally different. So like, for example, it's really a beautiful love story. I bought the engagement ring after 2 weeks, and I went to Tiffany and I told the sales girl the story, and she cried. I mean, why would she cry? But it also touched her heart, and it has an impact on the people around us. And I'm really the luckiest man in the world that I met such an amazing woman. I'm super lucky, and we are together now nearly 9 years, and I love her more than day one, and she tells me the same thing. And it's also not just words, because like many people would say, after 10 years things get boring. Not a single day. We always both have the feeling we don't have enough time together. And I mean, just if you see the surprise she did for me yesterday, like, come on, you don't do that for somebody you don't love with all of your heart. And I try to do that for her too, but yesterday it was Father's Day in Austria, so yesterday it was my turn.
That's very beautiful. What would you say is the recipe for such a harmonious relationship as you have it?
I don't know. I let my wife answer that. I'm sure as a man you need to have a lot of experience before you commit to one woman, because if I wouldn't have that, then I would always have stupid ideas now, because I have a lot of testosterone in my body. I train 7 days a week. I've got, my body is super healthy, so I would have a lot of stupid ideas. But I don't have these stupid ideas because I pleased these stupid ideas when I was younger. So I believe this is an important thing you should do. You shouldn't commit to one woman if you aren't ready, and because that will cause problems. I wouldn't want to hide and cheat to my wife. I don't want to do that, because either it's hell for her if she finds out, or it's hell for me if I always have to lie. I don't do that. I come here, I meet with you, I'm going to have a steak and go home. My wife knows the exact time. If she wants to come here, well, great. If she wants to take my phone, take my phone. There's just no secrets between us. From the female side, I'm not a female, so I don't talk about what females should do, but I can tell you what my wife does, that what makes me super happy. She practices timing. Because, like, for example, if I'm sitting on the kitchen table and I'm worried and I'm trying to handle shit, and her problem is, what should the kids eat? Or what should she wear to this event? Then it's hard for me to give her the correct answer, especially in the way she would expect it. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand, yeah.
Yeah. So, but she learned that. Like, there's times when we can talk about certain things. And the other thing that she's just doing amazing is she's also developing in the same speed like me, but not in the same area. So we are a team, we are a family, and I'm the one who's responsible to bring the money and to be successful. And she develops in other areas for the family and for the mind and, for all that things. So this is very important, and I really love that, and I enjoy that, because if only I'm pushing in one direction, that's not very pleasant.
I think, it's very important to grow together, right? Even if it's different areas, but areas that complement each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Was family always such a high value for yourself?
I would say yes, because I also saw that from my parents, and I mean, I would say, my parents taught me a lot on how you do things and maybe also how you shouldn't do things. But my dad always said, he will do everything that the family stays together. And he lived by his words, and that had a huge impact on the family. because my mom didn't have this. She's from Italy and Australia, so she puts a lot of emotion, and so she wouldn't take that responsibility. So I'm happy my dad did it, and of course she's happy too. But I would say my mom had quite some ideas that wouldn't be the best in the situations where the emotions kick in. But that's part of the responsibility of us as a man. In my belief system, I also believe there's two genders, and I'm very traditional in that terms. And we have to control our temper, and we have to, think about what's going to happen tomorrow and what's going to happen in 1 year. That's my responsibility. I can't expect that from my kids, not really from my wife, although she does it. That's just what I have to do, but it's also the same in the company. I'm responsible. I'm the founder. I have the majority of the shares, so I have to think about how is the company going to be in 2030. Otherwise, there will be no 2030 for the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the role that we as men have to play in relationships is to be this rock in the breaking waves, right? That we hold a stable position even when emotions go wild around us.
Yeah.
So that our women have somebody to hold on to trust, to lead the family in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, we just had the Pride on in Vienna. And I mean, all these lost souls, it's not good for them. I mean, everybody can do whatever they want. Really, you can love whoever you want. You can do in your bedroom whatever you want. Really, I don't care. I don't judge you by that. Nobody would know what I like to do in the bedroom, but it's just like a matter of respect that you don't talk about it. Because, I mean, let's just imagine you don't have these crazy ideas, and I have these crazy ideas that I do with somebody. And like I force it up to you and I'll keep on talking about it. It's very annoying for you, isn't it?
It's very off-putting, absolutely.
Yeah, why do you have to do that? And why do you have to rub it into somebody's face? Just leave them alone. Nobody's judging you. And the world isn't how you are saying it. Everybody can do far too much. Far too much. I mean, there's people running around like foxes with 21 years. And, like we just talked, you have to think about what's going to come in the next years. Like maybe it's fun now being pansexual and, changing your gender and all that stuff. But what's going to be with these people in 5 years? They all going to be depressed. Maybe they took their lives. Nobody of them is happy. Nobody of them is happy. Nobody is in a healthy family situation. They are all fucked. Because they can now do what gives them, on a short impression, very good feelings. But that's not how life works. I had 40 companies. Now I have 12 at the moment, and all of these 40 companies, were they all a success? No, I would say 15 just didn't do anything. So they weren't a success. And I'm sitting here as a quite successful entrepreneur in Austria. I mean, I've been awarded many times. But 15 just didn't take off at all. Maybe in 5, I didn't even make back the money I put in the beginning. That's how life works. And if we come back to these people, it's not very good. They won't be happy later.
I think sooner or later everybody has to learn that nobody will come to save them, and that everybody has to take their own responsibility, right? And if you're lucky, you learn it earlier. And if you're not so lucky, then you learn it very late and you have to dig yourself out of whatever you put yourself in.
Yeah.
So what do you personally do to instill the right kind of values into your kids?
Oh, that's a very smart question. So I've got 2 boys. One is turning 2 on Wednesday and the other one is 4.5. And I'm really proud of them, and they are really tough cookies. They are training already. But from day one, I asked me the question, how can I make them to good people? How can I give them the right values? And I mean, their dad is driving Ferraris and Lamborghini and G-Class, and mom's got an amazing car. And I cannot let them walk. I mean, when they're going to have a car, they're also going to have a good car, because I cannot give them an old shitty car, because that would just be false. Then I would give them the completely wrong mindset. So I've got two options. Either my kids would be stupid and how do you call it if you give somebody too much? Pampered, okay. Or they get great people. They work hard. They get really good at something, and they live up to the standard of the parents. And of course, they can be kids. You know, I'm not expecting my boys to be entrepreneurs like their dad with so many companies. But like, for example, my big son, Cristiano, he's 4.5. Since he can speak, he says he's going to be a football player. He just always plays football. He gets up in the morning and he puts a football dress on and he plays football. He goes to bed in a football jersey. And he says he's going to be a player. So, and if he decides to go down this pathway, to train more, to go into a club, to train more, to leave home and train in a club, go for it. And try to make it. You know, like the chance of making it is 0.3%. I know that. But it's not impossible. And especially... But you get my point?
Absolutely.
But he doesn't have to do it. But if he says he wants to be a football player, then pay the price.
Yeah. Yeah, you cannot live the life of your kids, right? You cannot live it for them.
No, I can decide.
The only thing what you can do is you can like give a good example.
Yeah. But what I do is I choose the friends, I choose the activities, because as a parent, it's your responsibility to choose that. They will not run around like foxes, and they will not have friends who believe in all that type of stuff. It's not who my kids will be. That's not who they will be.
Yeah, that's very smart. And I'm sure that they will make you very proud and very happy, whatever they will do.
Whatever they will do. Yeah. You know, as a parent, then it is just important for you that they are happy. Mm. But like, if they would run around on this party on Saturday, like many of these lost souls, they aren't happy. They just aren't, you know. And whatever then will happen and which path they will go, God will decide that. And I'll be happy to watch. But I'm doing everything right now that they go in the right direction. And let me tell you another example. Like my wife and I, we decide with which people we hang out. Like there's people where my wife says, I haven't got a good feeling with them, or they don't give me good energy. Let's not meet them. And I immediately delete the contact. Don't even talk to them anymore. You know, if my wife feels uncomfortable, fuck them. Because I'm sleeping together in bed with my wife every day. And it's the same thing if I tell her, I believe this girlfriend is not very honest. She says, yeah, it's true. Sometimes she says it hurts me, but she breaks the contact. And because we have to work together. You know, if we're super loyal, I could look in her phone now. If I say, come here, she'll be here in 10 minutes. Same thing for me. That's the way we want to live together. Mm. I'm not even saying everybody has to do that. But let's just, let me bring up another topic. If some people say an open relationship is great, would I have fun? Of course. I would have amazing fun. But how long would it work? How long would it work? And then everything breaks apart. Yeah. So that's just how that's my view on the world.
I totally agree. I think you always reap the rewards for whatever you sow, right? In the positive way and also in the negative way. Yeah. If you go for low hanging fruit, for low hanging dopamine, you have to pay the price eventually.
Exactly.
So your latest venture is you wrote a book.
Yeah.
Right? What is that about?
As I'm turning 40 in a few months. I could even say in a few weeks. Did it hurt?
Oh, no, I'm absolutely fine with being 40.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking forward to. I'm not afraid. But you know,
when are you turning 40 actually?
October 19th. So.
Then we're only 3 days apart. 22nd.
Really?
Yeah.
But 1 year ahead of me. So.
No, wait. No, I'm also turning 40 this year.
Okay.
October.
So we could celebrate together even. I understand now, okay. Yeah, and I'm very goal driven. So what I do is always on the beginning of the year to write down the goals. I do that every month. I do that every week. I do that even every day with 3 small goals that I have to achieve. But of course, for the day, it's more like a task.
Yeah.
Because you can't achieve a big goal on a day. That takes time. And at the end of the year, I was like planning this year, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to write a book before I'm 40 and bring it out. And I had it written already. So it was a book about sales. Selling Without Selling was the title. And I wanted to bring it out. But then it came close. I was talking with some guy who is supporting me in bringing out the book, also with the marketing activities and all that things. And then I was like, I don't believe that this is the right topic for now. It's like we're living in a recession. People don't need a sales book right now. They're having totally different problems. Petrol got more expensive. There's wars all over. Like, fuck a sales book right now. You know, that's not what the regular guy wants to read, the average person. And I wrote it for people who want to change their life. From 9 to 5, out of the Hamsterrad, how you say in German. So it's called the last chance out of the Hamsterrad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed it to an AI cover.
Mm-hmm.
And in German, it's konkurrenzlos mit KI. And I just want to show up how amazing the opportunity is with AI. Because like the internet came, the people didn't make money. Telecommunication came, people didn't earn money, only a few. Then social media came, and it didn't make money because they always reacted in a certain way. They said, no, it's not going to be that big, and it's not going to stay for long. And now AI is coming, and the people are saying the same stupid things. But at the same time, you could make a shitload of money just by starting early, just by putting in some effort, just by thinking about it, just by investing a little bit in companies that are in that space. And that's where I want to make people aware, because I made so much money with AI, although I'm not a technician. I just started to invest, like I'm a people's guy. I'm good at talking to people. I don't know anything about coding. You are a million miles ahead of me. But still, I made so much money just by investing in some companies. And that's what I make people aware of. And I even want to give them a solution on how they could start a business with AI. And how that works is described in the book.
That's a super interesting topic, and I think also a very important topic for everyone. I mean, I myself, we use AI now for around 9 months, very intensively. And now with the help of AI, I can build features that previously took me around half a year with a team of developers. I can do it in half a week.
That's insane.
And it's
really, just the beginning.
And it's mind-blowing for anybody who has not looked into this. You cannot imagine what kind of opportunities there are, what paths are suddenly open to you, what kind of research you can do. And so I can really recommend anybody to first put their toes in it. And
or start by reading my book at least, and then you will be motivated to put the toes in the water. Because I can bring an easy example. I mean, everybody knows Bitcoin today, and everybody has an opinion about it. And I'm just trying to tell the people, shut up with your opinion, because nobody gives a shit, and you don't give a shit. There's just one single question. Did you buy 2014? Did you buy 2016? Did you make some money or not? Because you got the opportunity. You have the opportunity. Like you said, nobody's going to come and save you. And maybe Bitcoin is going to zero, like Dan Pena is saying. Nobody knows. But if it would go to zero, who gives a shit? I made my money. And if it goes to 1 million, what could possibly be? Hallelujah, then I have some Bitcoin. And but nobody knows. I'm not sitting here telling the people invest in Bitcoin. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is there's so many opportunities for you. But the people have an opportunity. They have an opinion instead of just trying.
They have to take the first step and trust in their abilities into the step that they took. and then use the discipline to get forward.
Exactly. And like, on Instagram, people text me, I have 10K, I have 20K, how should I invest it? And I can only say, I don't know. Nobody knows. Invest it. Try.
Invest it in yourself.
Yeah, okay, then invest it in a coaching with you is also an opportunity. But 10 grand are not going to save you. What do you want to do with 10 grand? It's nothing. It's not going to save anybody. But at the same time, if you start to invest with a system, if you start to have your ears, your eyes, and your heart opened, it can make you super rich. Yeah. I heard of Bitcoin when it was at 400. I didn't invest. But then I heard of Bitcoin when it was at 2 grand. I invested. I learned,
Yeah.
And okay, I was lucky. I heard about it early. I had a guy who showed me how it worked. Then he took 500K of Bitcoin off me. Okay, that wasn't so nice, but who cares? It was at a high level there. But that's part of the game. But start. And especially with AI, you would have to be a stupid fucking idiot if you think that AI is going to go away. I was at this restaurant on the highest, on a small mountain in Vienna. It's not a mountain, like we would say it's a hill. But there's a restaurant there. And my wife was out with the kids in the shopping center in the nearby mall, and I was hungry. So I stopped there and had some food. Next to me, there were 2 really old people, like in the 70s, 80s. And the wife didn't hear very good and had knee problems and back pain. I heard it because the tables were so close to each other. And then the gentleman was called on his phone. And it was like really annoying. He had the ringtone on full volume. And it was really annoying, you know that. I
love those people, yeah.
Yeah, but he's an 80-year-old guy, so... And the guy who called him 3 times and he didn't know how to mute it. And he was pressing around and couldn't do it. And then he said a very defining moment, a defining sentence to the lady. Wait a moment, I have to ask ChatGPT. And that was the moment when I drove home and started to write the book. Because then I knew this is it. Because AI won't go away. It's crazy. He asked ChatGPT, then they showed him, and it's amazing.
It is. Yeah, even use it to analyze my blood work and let it recommend me some supplements and so on. It's like there's so many things that you can do with it. Chris, it was very interesting to talk to you. Is there one last sentence that you would like to tell our audience?
I enjoyed speaking to you too. And I want to tell you something funny. It's my first podcast in English, actually. And you invited me to your podcast, and then you said it's going to be in English. And my first impression was like, holy fuck, how should I do a podcast in English? And that's very funny because my mom's from Australia. And I spoke English before I spoke German. And why is that my last thing that I'm telling you in the podcast? It's very easy. Your mind is tricking you. Even my mind is tricking me. Because how could I be afraid of doing a podcast in English? It's my mother tongue. But, we aren't aware of what we are capable of. And we had a great conversation, we had a great time, and we should not always just believe what the first impression of our mind is. We should just be aware, we decide what we are capable of. Nobody else, not even our mind.
Chris, it was very cool talking to you. Very interesting. Thanks for being here in this discussion.
Thanks for having me.